Last night, I watched the USA play Mexico in Las Vegas, and it was fitting the game was in Las Vegas because it had all the makings of a top fight. It had red cards, it had everything you would expect from a U.S. Mexico, a very contentious, very combative Mexican team who was really frustrated by the U.S. all night long. And the game actually ended early. The game was supposed to have 12 minutes of stoppage time, but it ended after 7 minutes because of Mexico's fans screaming that homophobic chant that they like to scream whenever opposing goalkeepers take goal kicks. But that notwithstanding, you could have given the Mexican team, 12 minutes, 24 minutes, another 45 minutes. They would not have scored against the U.S. team. The U.S. played probably one of their best games that I've ever seen them play against a poor Mexican team and a very frustrated Mexican team. And sadly, the game turned very physical and very violent, which really was a bad sign for all involved. Nonetheless, the U.S. Started off the better team. Well, actually, both teams started off pretty good. They first 20 minutes, it really was give and take. But really, from there, from the 20-minute mark on, the U.S. really controlled and dominated the game, and ultimately just saw out the 3-0 win after Pepe's third goal, which was first originally ruled out for offside, but eventually counted based on VAR. But the first goal was scored by Christian Pulisic, who, let's face it, there's a player there, okay? And whatever happened to him at Chelsea, there is an honest to goodness world class player inside of that man who is absolutely going to get out of Chelsea, get out of that place that he has suffered in for the past couple seasons. I know he was booed on when he came on the last game against Chelsea by Chelsea fans. Look, Christian Pulisic played probably his best game that I've seen him play all season long, with the World Cup notwithstanding, that showed that he is an absolute solid player. Scored on the second, started right about 2 minutes later into the in the start of the second half, and before Pepe scored his third. And Mexico just wasn't in the game. They just were not very responsive. They didn't have any. I think they had maybe the only shots they had on goal were eventually ruled offsides. And Matt Turner really didn't have a lot to do, which is very unusual in a United States-Mexico game. Usually in a U.S.-Mexico game, Mexico dominates possession, and they have one or two, maybe even three good, solid chances where the goalkeeper of the U.S. has to make a play. Well, in this case, Matt Turner really didn't have a lot to do. Matt Turner did not have a lot of big saves to make, did not have to worry too much, because a lot of it also had to do with the defense in front of him. Miles and Anthony Robinson were absolutely stunning, absolutely fantastic, and absolutely controlled the game from the U.S. backline perspective. But then in I think it was the 76th, 77th minute, it was Balaquin. I'm bad with names. Okay, Forlan Balaquin basically took the ball away from Cesar Montes, and he hacked him down and got immediately sent off for the red card. And it should have been 11 versus 10 at that point. But Weston McKennie got involved, apparently put his hand on a throat of a Mexican player. I didn't see it. I saw the replay. I'm going to take the referee's word for it, or the VAR's word for it, because that's where it got, and he got sent off. So it was 10v10. Then, in what I did see, Serginho Dest really It was a throw-in on the Mexican side of the field. They started pushing back and forth. Of course, fans start throwing stuff, at, which doesn't need to happen. Throwing their drinks and things like that at the U.S. players. I think it was the Mexican fans who were doing that. They were frustrated really by this point, and Gerardo Ortega also got involved, and it's both Dest and Ortega got sent off, and the game ended up 9-9, and there were about 12 minutes of stoppage time added up at the end, which I said before. They only ended up paying about 7 of it because of the Mexican fans screaming that homophobic chant that they like to scream whenever opposing goalkeepers take goal kicks. Look, for all you can say about the game, okay, as a dominant U.S. performance, 3-0, tres cero, all you can say about the U.S. Mexico game, okay, this was as ugly a way to finish the game as possible. Okay, this was absolutely ugly, uncalled for. Now, I'm not excusing the U.S. players. Okay, now listen, Weston McKennie did grab the throat of a Mexican player. Yeah, he should have been sent off. I didn't see it. I didn't see it on the replay. But if that's what they say happened, that's what happened. Then I'll take their word for it. Serginho Dest should have just walked away. Should have walked away from the situation he was in. He didn't, and he got sent off. I think he smacked the player head of a Mexican player. Ultimately, it was absolute chaos, and that's what marred the game for me. That's what hurt the game, and didn't need to have happen. Also, the homophobic chant did not need to be screamed at by the Mexican fans, but at that point in time, they were absolutely frustrated by the U.S. team. They were absolutely frustrated, and in the end, they end up screaming that chant and ends the game prematurely. It doesn't play the full 90 minutes, but that's okay. Like I said, they could have had 45 more minutes. They would never have scored against the U.S. team. Ultimately, the U.S. moves on. This is a Nations League, the Concacaf Nations League. They play against a very good Canada team, which is going to be a difficult team to beat. They have to do it without Weston McKennie and Serginho Dest, which is sad and tragic, but that's the rules. If they broke the rules, then they have to pay the price. That's just how it is. But hey, those are my thoughts on the game. I've posting this like 8 hours after the fact, but still, from a U.S. perspective, it was a great game. It was a fantastic game played by the U.S. A dominant performance by the U.S. They beat Mexico 3-0, and yeah, the sooner Christian Pulisic can get the hell out of Chelsea, the better everybody's going to be, because I think he's a fantastic player, played a fantastic game, and we'll see what happens here on out. Have a good rest of your day. Thanks for watching. Please click like, share, and subscribe.